Did Donald Trump make two big mistakes tonight? One, say, and this is the way I think regular Republicans, people who grew up Republican will hear it, I'm not a reliable Republican. I am not really a part of the political party, not loyal to it. Number two, it isn't a matter of political correctitude or not to make fun of women's looks. He wasn't making a political statement. He was just being boorish. And yet he defended it as somehow part of his independence, his maverick ways.
Right.
Did he cross those two lines tonight as you see it politically?
Well, look, I think it's possible, and I think on the second point, in that exchange with Megyn Kelly, an important piece of information is going to be how often does Fox replay that moment over the next few days? How often do Fox viewers see that moment over and over and over again? The more it's played, the more damaging it could do when you consider the importance of the Fox viewer in Republican primaries. So I think that is possible. On the first question, look, I think a lot of Republicans, I think that's going to bother him, and I think Trump's got to have a better answer than that. The idea of leverage and all that, I think that is, I think that could be a disqualifier for some Republican voters who want a Republican to win. They don't necessarily want Hillary Clinton to win, and it doesn't take much to put that math together to make voters see that.
Michael Steele, both were ended, those exchanges, with threats.
Yeah.
Trump's threatened. He said, look, if I don't get treated right, I'm going to run against this party I'm claiming to be part of. And then at the end, if you listen closely, throwing in Rosie O'Donnell, just throwing her into the bus, but then saying, if you keep this up, Megyn, I'm going to get tough with you.
I could get tough with you, too.
Another threat.
Yeah.
Where are they going to call in HR? I mean, at some point, you got to say, can you keep being the bully?
Well, this is the temperament question that a lot of people have about Donald Trump when it comes to being president. I've talked about it. A lot of folks have talked about whether or not the president in Donald Trump would come out tonight. I don't think it did here. I think in that moment, it showed, what people like about him, but that's not the stage for that now. We want to see whether or not you can handle that kind of pressure in a way that makes people say, all right, yeah, you're going to fight for me, but you're not going to go outside the lines, but so far.
Well, let me go back to you as a regular Republican. People who grew up Republican, they think Republican, not just the conservatives, they're members of the party. They take it seriously. The party
Yes, they do, yeah.
What do they think of a guy who says, I may diss you guys, it's in my interest?
Trust me, it's going to be very concerning for a lot of grassroots activists out there. How far down the road do I go with this before he decides to pull the plug on this old life?
They remember Ross Perot. Those are old enough to remember what happened in 1992.
Right.
And that was a determinative factor in that election.
He put Clinton in the White House. By
the time he bailed out, it was already too late.
Steve, as a Republican, I'm talking about people who are party chairs, county chairs, people go out and work, go to the meetings, they're part of the party structure. Will they say, wait a minute, he's not in our team?
Well, look, I think that you have a lot of Republican voters that look at the elected Republican leaders and say they're not on my team, they're not on our team. You look at the numbers with Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Ben Carson together, it's 40% of the Republican Party's voters are in an open rebellion against the political establishment of the country. I think it's an open question whether those Trump supporters are going to be very much bothered by that.
Will they follow him into a mutiny?
I don't know, but I do know this. If they do follow him into a mutiny and he does run as a third-party candidate, it's lights out. Hillary Clinton, almost by forfeit, becomes president of the United States. So this will be a big question in the months
Well, both parties have had this experience with Ralph Nader in Florida, and of course Ross Perot.